A lot of goals for 2021. I want to say I would like to start refining my collecting a little bit. I know Pat Brown, I think that's his name, right? From Collector Effectors. He's in our group, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I really want to get in on a build or two from him because I can already see that his demand and pricing is going to go way up because he takes, yeah.
I've been thinking exactly the same, and you know, and I saw your comment you mentioned or you posted, you know, get these pedals before they go up in price. He's one to watch. Pat Brown is definitely one to watch.
And it's been a short time. Yeah.
His work's immaculate. You know, I mean, even just little things like that, making the wires coloured to match the enclosures and things like that. It's interesting. It's attractive, and his work is so neat. That boy, he's definitely one to watch. I think.
I think he only really launched earlier this year and started from nothing.
Yeah.
And I love all my other builders that I work with, and they feel, because my goal is if I'm going to promote something, it's something that I would buy. So normally I prefer to demo things that sell for $100-ish or less US shipped, because I feel like that's the sweet spot for the kind of market that I can reach. Because I have a couple peers and friends that they have really high-end camera gear and are really good at editing and doing artsy things with the shots. So they are better at catering to the ultra boutique crowd that have, you know, 10K in their pedal boards and that kind of thing. But I will say that I definitely want to get one because I can see it coming already, that his demand and exposure is going to get so high that the wait time has to go up. So then the price goes up. And so I can see it happening already.
Yeah, me too.
And it's a good thing. And it's a good thing. What he does is pretty unique. I mean,
I think we've got another I think we've got another Dave Main there.
Yeah, it's going to be something to see. It's really cool what you can do with Fuzz though, because if I remember right, he scavenges or just hunts for old components from old appliances or something to that effect. I think he might buy stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a mix, isn't it? But yeah, his audience has just catapulted in a very short. And like I say, he just started this year. And whenever I've spoken to him sort of online and things like that, he's always been really, really pleasant and pleasurable. Tried to get him for an interview earlier this year, but we went for a feature instead. So we ran a feature on his work, and the response was so positive, you know. So positive.
And normally I wouldn't, you know, go and plug for builders if I haven't actually tried their gear, but we've had so many positive interactions. And I'm lucky that, so I live in the Pacific Northwest, kind of northern Oregon-ish. So there's a lot of pedal builders here, like a lot, especially that cater to the Doom community and make a lot of fuzzes. So Fuzzlord Effects has been on my radar for a long time. This guy, Jason, out of Eugene, has really nailed, because it's only him and a partner that make all the stuff, do all the marketing. They're still a small shop, but they have a very, very successful business. And they have a pretty unique business model. But like I said, every interaction I've had with him online, he knows I don't own any of his pedals. And I comment on his YouTube and his Facebook and Instagram, and we always have positive interactions. And it's like, stuff like that just really drives you to want to support those companies.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And what he does, which is really cool for smaller builders, is he's not quite to the Chase Bliss level yet, but what he does is he builds a run completely. So he builds 50, and then he announces, okay, on Saturday at 3 Pacific time, we're going to open up orders for this color of this pedal, this fuzz, this rat clone, whatever it is. And they're at like 215 plus chip a piece, and they'll sell out in minutes. And he does this like a couple times a month, and it's really something to watch. That's part of the reason why I don't have any, because every time a run comes through, it seems to be I've already spent all my other money on fuzzes, and I can't afford to swing one of his pedals. But it's
do you have
what
any? Do you have any money left to eat and you know, clothe
sometimes.
yourself and things like that?
No, I do all right. And I actually am starting to do more lateral trades and letting go of anything that's not a fuzz and custom made. I usually will end up trading or letting go at some point, just because it's not my priority in the collecting. I still probably have, oh, it's probably more now because I got a lot of non-fuzz things lately, but like 15 or 20 things that aren't fuzzes. And I start looking really hard at those things. It's like, well, do I really need them? And especially if they're things I have multiples of, like how many clean boosts does a person need? You know, that kind of stuff. But
hey, I've got a clean boost coming this week.
Yeah.
Put an order in for one. A Spy Sound high voltage boost, so it's 24. It goes up to, it's got a converter inside, takes up to 24 volts, 30 decibel, just boost. I'm just really intrigued to see what it sounds like and what it's like.
Oh, who's it from?
Spy Sound.
Oh, cool.
So Mark makes some very interesting, it's very steampunk type designs. Did a feature on them on Mark's stuff a couple of months ago, and it's really, really nice. But yeah, I put an order in for one, so that's becoming probably end of this week. I kind of like boost and I kind of like overdrive. I know you were saying earlier on you're kind of, and I get that, and I get why you're not kind of so interested in those. But I tend to like boosts, and I tend to like overdrives as well. It's just my thing.
Well, you have a lovely orange rocker verb, so that takes those things pretty well, and that is kind of the direction that those go. I just have this, the only amp I own is my Marshall Origin. So if, for those who are uninitiated, the Marshall Origin has pretty much no gain on its own unless you really crank the master volume. And so it tends to take every pedal super well, but it doesn't have a high gain sound. Ideally, my goal would be sometime in the next several months or so to have some kind of high gain amp, because I've had some on loan before, and I really like boosts and overdrives and those kinds of things with those amps, because I think that that's kind of the pairing, is you have like a really crunchy amp and then you take it to that next level with gates and boosts and EQs, and I feel like that's definitely the move. But because I've been plugged into the metal community for quite some time, I used to mostly play like metalcore, and I did 8-string and 7-string stuff for quite a while. And when you're talking with extreme downtuned and low range stuff, you really have to sculpt that sound a lot to make it work. Whereas with 6-string, you're kind of, it works without much difficulty. So
Well, I've seen your demo and a lot of demos you do it in detuning into, you know, I think I've seen you detuning things like C and D and stuff like that, and it's different again, isn't it? It's, you know, it makes the pedals interact different again. I really need to get into all that kind of stuff. I've never really been into it. Do you know what I mean? I've only really been into sort of standard tuning and maybe E flat, and that's and maybe drop D, and that's probably about it for me.
I would say, I didn't used to think it was good, but I'm playing my Strat in D standard with basically 11s. And then I play my Telly in C standard right now with 52 to 10.5, which is real light on the high strings, almost like the Iommi thing where there's no resistance when you do bends and stuff. It feels, my goal with tension is to feel like I'm playing a 46 through 9. So a little thicker on the low end and a little lighter on the top end in standard. But often what I like is like medium gauge strings tuned down. But I'm finding that I really like my standard Strat in D standard, which I didn't used to like. I used to only like it in standard or E flat.
Yeah, I need to, when I play 10s on my Strat, or my Strat copy, my Gibson, but I need to have a little bit of resistance there when I'm bending strings. If there's no resistance back when I'm bending strings, it just doesn't it just doesn't feel comfortable. I almost feel like I'm fighting to. I've got to
Yes.
almost feel like I'm fighting to bend it. You know, that feels good if I'm struggling to bend it a bit. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that comes out in the bends as well.
It does. I think what I found, and someone had given me feedback before, is that I was really struggling to get clean bends on my Strat, especially. So I was trying to cheat the system a little bit and find that sweet spot where I can get those full step bends and hold a nice vibrato. One thing I did get, which is exciting, I didn't just get a bunch of fuzz pedals, is I got a glass slide for the first time in a long time.
Yay!
And I used to play a lot of slide in my bands and in some of my music, and I'm really looking forward to playing slide again.
Yep, I like. I don't play a lot of slide, and I'm not particularly brilliant at it, but I do like getting the slide out. It's just not, it's particularly when you're playing. You put a bit of sustain on. If you put a bit of compression on, put a bit of delay on, a bit of reverb, and it's just nice. I really like that.
Yeah, I want to cover Bullet the Blue Sky and figure it out. I don't know what tuning he did that in. Probably in standard.
Great tune.
I don't know. It is a great tune. It's probably one of the best slide tunes that ever played on the radio or was considered like a classic rock hit of U2.
Yeah.
Has some of the best, like most instantly recognizable slide, because he has that high gain kind of thing. Just sliding down and making his. I remember I read Slash's autobiography, and he was really proud of himself because he got a slide and learned that song perfectly for his cover band when he was 16.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, wow. And one thing that some people notice, but I use EMG pickups in my main guitar, and I still test fuzz with that. And a lot of the purists would say that's hot garbage. You should never do that.
Yeah.
But I actually like it.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? If you like it, and if you like it, it'll often then influence you to play differently, play better, and if that's the case, it's right. There's no right or wrong, is there? It's just whatever you like, whatever sound you like. That then just go for it. And if you're not liking what you're hearing, try something different, tweak it up. Because you've definitely, when you plug in and you play some chords and you get that feeling from the amp, it's got to feel good.
Yeah, and I used to work at a music store, and that was only on weekends and nights. And I went through a phase, you can see it in my YouTube channel, and especially on my Instagram, is I went through a phase from like 2015 to 2017, where I owned a lot of guitars. Like I would buy and sell and trade constantly. And so I've had like over 100 different guitars in the last 10 years, And what I found is that there's just a handful of things I need. I used to play a lot of like high-end American-made guitars, and I found that my songwriting and riffs weren't any better.
Well, that's it, isn't it? That's it. I mean, where is it? That's that Strat copy. I had that built for me in 2016 by a guy called Rob Williams, and I'd seen Rob's work probably in 2003, and I thought one day I'm just gonna just something I wanted something built by Rob Williams, and he made it for me, but you're absolutely right, it doesn't make you play any better whether I play this or something different, but it's more than that, because you can probably see, I don't know whether you can see or not, it's actually got my mum's name on the headstock.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So it's got my late mother's name on the headstock. So there's a little bit more behind the guitar than it just being a guitar. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it doesn't make you play any better.
No.
Or differently.
No. I mean, there is a threshold. Once you have to have a guitar that has decent action, that intonated, that has fresh strings. Like there's all the things that you have to take care of, right? It can't be an absolute garbage guitar. The frets have to be properly seated and filed. Like there's some basic things. The thing is today, like my Squire Telecaster that I use, I bought it like that for $300 US from a friend of mine, and it has a mahogany body, which is really nice and heavy, and then it's got the fixed bridge, and I like the scale length and the fretboard, and I don't know, it has everything that I need.
Yeah.
So it's like that's all I need.
Well,
and I have this guitar, which you don't see a lot of in my videos.
But I was saying to Nate, that's a beautiful thing. That's beautiful. Love it. I was saying to Nate the other day, and the guy that actually made this for me, he rarely posts on Facebook or anything like that. He's not really that way inclined. But he posted something one day, and that was somebody brought in a Mexican Strat. So they said, here's my Mexican Strat. I want you to take off the color. I want you to put a different color on it. So he says, yeah, no problems. The work's probably going to cost more than guitar, but if that's what you want, then we'll do it. So he took off the finish. And what he actually posted on Facebook was this. He says, this is a Mexican Strat, a fraction of the cost of an American Strat. I've taken the color off, and it's a single piece of swamp ash. So he was like saying, these Mexican Strats and stuff like that, they're fantastic. You know?
Yeah. And I am picky about certain things, but I just think it goes to show, it's like, I think every player kind of goes through this arc where you're kind of starting and you have pretty crap instruments that are just barely playable, and you're kind of getting by, and then you get your first kind of real guitar, something that finally clicks for you, and then you aspire for something really nice, like a real Gibson Les Paul or a PRS or something, and maybe you get that in your early adulthood, and then maybe you get a couple more things, and then a lot of players kind of go through this phase where they realize, like, my playing has kind of reached this point, and I don't need this expensive stuff anymore, and so you find, you know, a Schecter, a Squire, or what, put whatever name you want on it. And it's like, well, this does all the stuff that does, but I can sell that for a couple grand and use it for my bills, or, you know, and a lot of it is, you know, a lot of players, they get to that age where, you know, partners and children and bills, and it's like,
well, one of the
I don't have a lot of savings, but I have a lot of this gear.
We're all the same. But one of the reasons why I got that guitar was that I got tired of going to auditions and things like that, and every guitarist I knew had a better guitar than me. Every single one. I thought, I've got to get a decent guitar. So that was kind of my adventure.
And I've played some nice guitars, you know, and there's stuff that you get what you pay for. I would say probably on my bucket list is to own one of the Eric Johnson Strats, because it's one of the few I've played that Fender makes from the factory almost perfect. It's a virtually perfect guitar.
Yep.
And
I know.
And I played, and they just do a good job. I just like the Fender stuff in general. There's something about single coil pickups and fuzz that just interacts better than anything else.
I agree.
And I want a traditional Telecaster as well with the actual single coil pickups. Maybe I could go with something like a stacked noiseless or something, but I don't really care. If it has a little bit of noise, it's fine because it's a fuzz. It's supposed to. Although gated fuzzes are definitely my favorite because they are just as gnarly, but they don't have the buzz and the noise. Because in my demos, and this has been a problem in the past, is my stool is about a foot or two from my amplifier, and both pickups, the single coils and the EMGs, are somewhat sensitive to interference. So if I'm too close to my amp and I have too much gain, it makes a ground loopy buzzy noise and fluorescent lights and the whole thing.
Well, I bought some, I'm just looking now, either side of this monitor now is some 2 circular LED lights, which I bought for doing, you know, this sort of thing, and also demos and stuff. And then I plugged this up and it was bzzz, and I was thinking, oh no, you know, it's just noise from these lights, but that's how it is. So look, we've been talking now for nearly, an hour and a half.
This is typical for me. Whenever I do an interview with people, we end up going extra long.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I'm just so pleased to have met you finally. Yeah, although it were kind of thousands of miles away, I feel like I can reach through the screen and shake your hand, kind of thing, which is nice. Yeah, shake the hand. But yeah, look, thank you so much for everything you do in the group, your participation in the group. It's noticed, and the group wouldn't be the same if we didn't have your posts about your fuzzes and things like that. So please keep it up.
Yeah,
please keep it up. So, all right.
Well, thank you, Steve.
I'll say a goodbye from me, and I wish you a good week for the rest of the week.
Thank you. I have so many videos to work on, so I will jump off, and I'll probably have something live here in the next half hour or so.
Brilliant. I shall be looking at when I go to bed tonight. I've usually got the phone on in bed, and I'm just having a look, see what everybody's doing. So I'll see what you're doing. But you take care.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice to see you again. See you
Yes,
later.
thank you.
All right. See you later.